Hey everybody, we are back again to talk about the season finale of season 6 of Game of Thrones. So, what did y'all think about it? I enjoyed it a lot. I'm gonna go probably out of order talking about these things, but I'm gonna talk about the things that stood out the most in this episode. Okay, so first of all, let's go to King's Landing. And it's time for Loras and Cersei to go on trial with the High Sparrow. And so for some reason Tommen is just dragging his feet. He really don't want to go, but he knows that he needs to go. And so when it comes finally time for him to get up and leave, the mountain shows up and stops him, and keeps him from going. Okay, now let's just talk about the trial. Okay, so Loras shows up and the High Sparrow is talking to him, and Loras just basically lays down. He's like, I admit everything that I did. I'm confessing my sins. I want to atone for my sins. And he basically said, I'll give up being a homosexual. I will give up my name. I'll just basically devote my life to the religion and just be that. So they held his head back and they, carved that seven ended star, whatever it is, on his head, and that was pretty much it. When it's time for Cersei to come forward, they're just basically sitting back waiting on her. And Marjorie is looking around like, wait a minute, where Tommen at? Cersei ain't here. Something is going on. And so she goes and tells the High Sparrow, look, we need to get on up out of here because something is going on. I know Cersei, and she knows the consequences for not showing up. So that means she's not showing up for a reason. We need to get up out of here. So of course the High Sparrow don't listen to her, and he's like, she's gonna show up, and if she doesn't show up, she's gonna have to pay for it. Just being closed minded and not listening to anybody else. So arrogant, right? And so Marjorie's like, nope, I'm out. So she grabs Loras and she's like, come on, we getting up out of here. But the guards were blocking the way so they couldn't get out. Meanwhile, so the mountain, right, he had Tommen. And so it's the Lannister cousin that Cersei slept with. Okay, him. Um, he's supposed to be going to get Cersei. So as he's going to get her, he sees this little kid running. And the kid looks suspicious. And so he starts to follow him, and he follows him all the way into this, dark hallway. And the little kid comes out of nowhere and stabs him. And he falls to the ground like, oh my God, I'm dying, right? So he must have stabbed him right near the lung. You know what I'm talking about? So he just fell out. And so he's in this room and he has this torch. And he's looking around at all these barrels of green stuff. And he really don't know, what's going on. Okay, so let me skip over to, oh my goodness, what's the maester's name? The one that's so shady. Oh my goodness, he was laying in the bed with a hooker, getting ready to go to the trial. And this little, once again, one of these little kids, one of the little birds, right, comes and gets him and leads him down in the attic with old boy that made, the mountain monster. And he's like, I don't really know what to tell you, dude, but I hope last night was fun because that was your last piece you was gonna get. And so all these little kids, the little birds, they come out of nowhere with knives and they basically stab the maester to death. So let's get back to the Lannister cousin, who's a part of the faith, and he's crawling, because for some reason he can't get up and walk. Okay, and he goes and he sees that it is actually wildfire. And there are two little candles that are like floating in it. And as soon as that flame touched that wildfire, it's over with, right? So he's crawling, as best as he can, trying to get to it, trying to blow it out. He gets right up close to it and he's all like he couldn't he couldn't blow it out, right? And so the flame touches the wildfire and it blows up the whole place, the whole building, right? So that means that the High Sparrow and Marjorie and Loras and I mean everybody that was up in there, they're pretty much dead. And Cersei was just sitting back, honey, with her. It looks like, her little outfit that she had on looked like straight armor. Like she was so armor chic, right? And she just sipped her wine, looking like, yup. I told y'all, y'all really didn't want to mess with me, but you did. So now you gotta pay. Right? So I was like, all right, go Cersei. You a good villain. I like her, but I don't like her, but I liked her in that moment. So Cersei does that. And oh Lord, poor Tommen. He's just sitting there looking out the window, looking at all this green smoke coming out of that building. His wifey is dead, and all this stuff. The High Sparrow is gone, and he just don't know what to do with himself. So he rears back and walks up to the window very swiftly and jumps out of the window and kills himself. At first, I just had this feeling that he was gonna run and jump out because when they showed him go out of the shot but they stayed on the window, I was like, oh, he getting ready to jump. He gonna jump, and he did. Wow, really, Tommen, really. And after it happened, Cersei wanted to see his body, and she just kind of looked at him and she was like, he needs to be with his family, his brother and his sisters, and so go ahead and burn him up and sprinkle his ashes over there in that building because that's basically where they were, where the tombs and all of that were. It's all gone. A pile of dust is what it is. So she was like, all right, whatever. So she goes into this next chamber, y'all, and she has Scepter Unella in there. Unella, whatever. Had her strapped up, laid on this table, and she's like, you know what? Remember I told you that my face was gonna be the last face that you seen before you died? And she was like, yeah, I'm ready to die. And Cersei was like, oh no, ho, you don't get to die today. Oh, no, 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 no. See, I didn't say that you was gonna die today. I just said I was gonna be the last face that you seen before you died. And the nun is just laying there like, oh, what is you about to do? So, honey, in walks the monster mountain. And I don't know what he getting ready to do to her. I don't know. But Cersei just left the room and she hollering, shame, shame, shame. Just like just like she did Cersei when she did her walk. And stepped up, bless her heart, honey. She just in there screaming for her life. And ain't no telling what the mountain is gonna do to her. You don't know if it's gonna be torture. You don't know if it's gonna be something. You know what I'm talking about. Uh, that's a big man. I'm just saying. But anywho, so okay, fast forward. Jamie returns back to King's Landing, and when he shows up, he sees the building on, basically rubble, and he's looking like, what the heck is going on here? Okay, so he goes and he gets there, and he sees Cersei, and they basically crown her as the queen, and he's looking like I don't know. This Jamie had this look in his face when he saw her sitting on the throne. And it didn't look like he was happy she was there. I think that he was having a moment. This is just my opinion. I think he was having a moment looking at her as if she was like the Mad King and he was going to be the Queen Slayer. I don't really know. So Sam and Gilly, they make it to the place that they were going. Sam got there. He introduced himself. He told the little secretary dude, I am here to become a maester. And, Jon Snow sent me. And they took him into this huge library. And I mean, it was huge. Oh my goodness. And Sam was just in love. So they finally made it. And Sam is well on his way to become a maester. So the Queen of Thorns goes to Dorne because I think Ilaria summoned her there, and she wants to basically have an alliance with her to take down Cersei and basically get revenge. And so Varys comes out of the shadows and he tells the Queen of Thorns, I can give you what you want, fire and blood. So I guess they're going to team up and try to take out Cersei as well. So over in Meereen, Daenerys is talking with Dario, and she basically tells him, "Look, I need you to stay here and keep the peace in Meereen, and enforce everything that I've established here." And he got very upset, and he was like, "Why I can't come with you?" And she was like, "Because in order for me to gain power and all that stuff in Westeros, I need to marry someone powerful. And she said, I can't do that and have you because, you'll be my lover and I can't be doing all of that over there. And he was like, I mean, um, if you were a king, no one would even blink. No one would even think twice about it. Which, I mean, he made a valid point, but still, that's just not the way that she wants to go. And so she's talking with Tyrion later, and he's like, I know that was a hard thing to do because you cared about him and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, the horrible part of it all, the scary part is that I really don't care. Like, I knew that I needed to do it, so I was really just getting impatient with it dragging on and on. I wanted it to be over so I can go on and move on and do the next thing. And then, y'all, it was so sweet. She gave him the little pin that's supposed to be, the hand of the king. And she said, You're my hand of the queen. And he bowed down, before her. And it was just a really nice moment. And so, fast forward a little bit, we see Theon and Yara, and they're on a boat. And then they pan out and they show like the whole fleet of ships that are on their way to Westeros. They have Daenerys in the boat that's leading everybody, and the dragons are flying above. And it's like Cersei and them do not know, honey. Y'all got a battle coming to you. I mean, King's Landing is not the spot to be in, okay? Because you got the Queen of Thorns and the chick from Dorne. You got them over there coming for Cersei, and then you gonna have Daenerys and her army coming too. I mean, it's just, girl, Cersei, you ain't gonna live too much longer, girl. So Uncle Benjen takes Bran and Mira to the werewood, and he leaves them there and he says, Okay, I've done everything that I possibly can do, you know, thus far to help you, accomplish your goal. And so he left them there and he gave them well wishes. And he's running off to get prepared to fight the White Walkers, basically. And excuse the noise of outside. And so while Bran is at the werewood, he goes ahead and he touches the tree and he goes back in time. And it takes him all the way back to where he was that time before, where he was watching his father at the Tower of Joy. He follows Ned up the stairs and into the room where Lyanna Stark is laying in a bed of blood because she had just given birth to a baby. Uh-huh. And so they show the scene. Okay, the R plus L equals J. Here we go, right? So Lyanna Stark is laying in the bed and she whispers to Ned, basically, don't ever let anybody know basically who the father of this baby is, right? So she hands off her baby to Ned, tells him to make a promise to never tell who this baby is by. And so there you go. There's the confirmation. Jon Snow is literally a Targaryen, and his mama is Lyanna Stark. So that leads us over to Jon Snow, aka Jon Targaryen. Uh, leads us over to him and Melisandre having a talk. But she made a valid point though. She was like, I understand you want to kill me and things of that nature, but y'all know them White Walkers is out there and y'all gonna need me, which I really do think they gonna need her for something. I don't know what, but for something, yeah. Y'all will need her. And if she gotta die in the end, well, she just gotta die. But we gonna need her to stay alive for a minute more. And also in this area, Littlefinger is over there talking to Sansa. I told y'all. See, I knew it was something in his eyes, honey. But he admitted that he wanted her. But he also wanted her by his side because ultimately he wants to be the king and he wants her to be his queen. So he leans in to kiss her, right? But Sansa didn't push him back, far away. She waited till he leaned in real good and close, and then she pushed him away and tried to walk off. And he's like, I mean, you need to think about it. He's putting that, you know, play this game with me. Game of Thrones, play this game with me. Get on my team, and we can win this. And so I think she's actually considering it. And I'm gonna tell you another reason why I think she's considering it because let's skip to the next scene where All the lords of the north are gathered and they're basically talking about what they're gonna do. Okay, long story short, little Liana, oh, ain't that sweet? Liana, she basically clowns the rest of these lords because they don't really want to get behind Jon Snow because he's a bastard, blah blah blah, whatever the case may be. And she basically stood up and gave a little speech like, "Man, if y'all don't hush." After she makes her speech to everybody, they basically give their allegiance to Jon Snow and they name him King of the North. So all while, these men are chanting King of the North, right? Sansa look over and Littlefinger looking dead in her face. And they both giving each other this look like, I wonder. See, y'all, listen. I think that he and her, they gonna get together. And I don't really think it's gonna be about love at first because, she still can't get over the fact that he handed her over to the monster, Ramsay. But I do think that she understands that Littlefinger keeps his finger in everything. No pun intended. And so I think that she definitely sees him as an ally and she can use him to her advantage to win in this game. And last but not least, the most eerie and wonderful part of this episode is I forget his name, the Frey guy, right? The slimy, grimy Frey guy, okay? The guy who did the Red Wedding, him, okay? So he was there feeling himself, right? Because Blackfish has been defeated and whatever the case may be. And so there was this girl who was there and she was at the party that they were having after the victory when Jamie and all of them were there. And the chick was actually giving Jamie the eye, but he was like, nah, I ain't really trying to do that, right? Which was probably good that he wasn't trying to hit that. Okay, so later on, after Jamie and Bronn and all of them had left and going back to King's Landing, Lord Frey was sitting there waiting on his sons to show up to have dinner with him. And so this same chick, right, walks up to him and she's, cutting him this. It looked like, I don't know what you would call it, but it looked like meat that's surrounded by some type of bread or whatever. It looks like a pie, maybe a shepherd's pie or something. I don't know. Okay. So she cut him this big slice and puts it on his plate. He takes a little bite of it and he's like, where are my sons? And she's like, they're here. And he's like, what you mean? Ain't nobody up in here. And she was like, no, they're here, in here. And she points at the pie. And then she pulls a piece of the breading back, and there's a finger in there. So he's automatically disgusted and about to vomit, right? Because he's eating human flesh. And y'all, this girl reaches up and she pulls her face off, and guess who it is? Arya, right? So Arya's like, um, you was on my list, fool, and you're gonna be the first one to get this knife today. And so she just basically, cuts him right up around there, and he gurgles in his own blood and dies right there. And she watches him die. So, check one off of her list. Arya is back and she's here with the vengeance, honey. And I cannot wait until she runs back into her family and she gets it popping. So, y'all, that was basically everything that happened in this episode. It was a good season finale. I enjoyed it immensely, and I cannot wait for the next season to come out. Even though there's only going to be 7 or 8 episodes, I think, in this next season, it really don't matter. I'm ready to see it, watch it, and know what happens. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Goodness. So until next year, guys. Aw, I'll see you guys later. Bye.